Hello and welcome back to the weekly woo from November 17th to November 23rd. And what a wild week we have this week. We have a very, very, very active week. We have aspects every day, and multiple aspects every day, which makes it very, 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 very busy. Okay, so you might want to pace yourself and you definitely want to prioritize your tasks. Okay, so first of all, we are going to start out with our planetary shifts and kind of what's going on through the week. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to mention, I'll talk about this a little bit later on, is we have a whack of trines. And so I don't think I even remember the last time we would have seen this many trines in 7 days. So that's awesome. So trines are the best of the best of the best aspects on the astrology charts. It's smooth flowing, it's good luck, it's good results, it's positive flow, it's good news, etc. But I just want to mention that this is not all good energy, good flow this week, because the drawback is we have 2 Uranus opposition. So that plays the opposite field, okay? So that's kind of unexpected challenges or troubles or unexpected things coming out of the blue that you just did not see coming. Okay, so just that being said, very, very busy week, okay? But lots of very good mojo. So do stay focused on the positive. Do not blow this week because it's got such great growth and expansion and good things about it. So if anything that's challenging or negative or kind of a drag me down or bring me down, do your best to shed that, delete it, clear that energy, and focus on the positive because you don't want to blow this week. Okay, so that being said, we're going to move on to the planetary shifts. Okay, so on the 17th, first of all, I'm going to say that's probably one of the best days of the whole week. We have 3 trines, and it's kicked off and boosted with a Pluto sextile, so that's nothing but good, okay? So the 18th, we are going to have Mercury retrograde, and it's going to be re-entering Scorpio, okay? So remember, Mercury retrograde, we do not want to start anything new. We want to work on the old projects, the current things, and anything from the past. So Mercury is also a good rest time, and you can expect to hear from people from your past, okay? Unexpected people from your past pop up or contact you. Okay, and the November 20th, we have our new moon in Scorpio at 28 degrees. November 21st, we have Ceres, our asteroid Ceres, going direct motion. Also on November 21st, we have the sun entering Sagittarius. And hello, Sagittarius season. Welcome, Sagittarius season. And happy birthday to all the Sagittarius folks out there. Okay. Now, that being said, we will move on to the rest of our information. So that will cover all our planetary shifts. And this week, believe it or not, we have way more positive aspects than negative ones. So the last time I seen this I can't remember. It's been such a long time. So this week we have 12 wonderful aspects and we have 7 minor aspects, okay? So we actually have, 10 trines, which is absolutely amazing. And we have 7 negative aspects. And we have 2 sextiles. And 2 sextiles are just where preparation meets opportunity. So that's good mojo, but you got to get off your rear end and take some action in order to achieve, right? So that's like opportunity knocking at your door. So go answer the door. Okay, so that being said, we are... I want to talk about the 20th as well. On that new moon in Scorpio at 28 degrees, we will have Sun conjunct Mercury. So that is what they would call the Mercury Cazimi. And so what that means is it's in the heart of the sun. Cazimi means heart of the sun, which means it's in a 2 to 3 degree orb of the sun. So that means Mercury's in the heart of the sun energy. So a conjunction can mean a kickoff point, a new beginning, a new start, but it's very, very, very charged. And conjunctions, for the most part, they tend to want to be called a positive aspect, but that is not always the case. So really, a conjunction can run either way. It can be positive, it can be challenging, and so that will definitely be a different story for everybody. However, what does that mean? It means that it's going to be high communication. So there's news, information, communication. Somebody might be talking to you, catching up with you, trying to get a hold of you, giving you news, information, communication about something, or you might be the one trying to contact somebody else. Okay, so as a rule of thumb, when I look at what we got going on this week, we have We have a very active sun, which means it's lots of aspects with it. And we have a very, very, very active Mercury. So what does that mean? So that means we are going to have a high communication week. Just like I said, that's kind of an energy to do with that conjunction, the heart of the sun, the Mercury Cazimi. However, so that means lots of communication coming in. So that can be, news, information. It can be emails. It can be text messages. It can be phone calls. People talking to you in person, anything to do with communication links. So you want to prioritize your tasks, and whatever's not important, just kind of toss in the back seat. It's kind of one of these really, really busy weeks where there is just going to be something going on every day, and actually not just one thing, it's going to be multiple things a day. So we do have quite a few aspects going on where it's going to be plans changing. You're going to have to change this. You're going to have to change that, because what's going to happen is you're going to get news or information or a phone call or an email that changes your plans. So, but it's not as crazy as it was the last few weeks. So it's about like every other day we have sesquiquadrates, we have biquintiles, we have quintiles. So when I see those are those little minor hiccup aspects that create changes in our daily plans. So it's not as bad as what it has been, but do expect plans to change. And I'm going to say probably on a daily basis, but it's not carried away, right? So what's going to add to that pile of plans changing is those Uranus oppositions. So that would essentially be an unexpected something that comes up that changes plans. So it's one of those weeks where everything and anything can take place because of what we have going on. So with Uranus, it's chaos, it's shock, it's unexpected people showing up, unexpected events showing up. And this particular week, there's going to be unexpected news. Like, I did not see that coming. I can't believe that this happened, or truth surfacing. And so when I say truth surfacing, I can see what that Uranus is all about. Truth, it's about rebel, it's about freedom. That can be showing up in particularly with, say, especially politics, global politics, or high-profile people on a global scale. So unexpected truth surfacing, with missing money, missing tax money, big money, hidden money, criminal money, those kind of things, expose secrets. And because we have so much Scorpio energy going on, I could see a lot of sexual secrets coming out on a global scale with public figures or well-known figures or politicians. So that's where those, I would say probably the dirty little secrets are going to start to surface this week. And it's going to be like shock and awe, right? Because that's what Uranus is. It's about truth. It's about shock. It's about surprise. It's about chaos. So it's one of these weeks, everything and anything can happen. And just remember, not all negative aspects or challenging aspects will play out the same. So for the most part, the toughest ones we have are going to be 2 Uranus oppositions. And so just remember, depending on what side of the coin you're on, it is possible that they can be beneficial. So what do I mean by that? So it would mean that you might find out news, say if it's like 2 people involved or there's groups involved, it could be where the truth surfaces, the truth comes out, and there's always a winner, there's always a loser. So that's where it can be beneficial to one party, but truth telling can be kind of detrimental, or someone's going to end up in trouble. So there's going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser, right? And so often challenging aspects can be beneficial in that nature, where they expose right from wrong, truth from falsehoods, or truth versus lies, or good versus bad. So again, that's going to be a different storyline for everybody. Just depends where you're sitting. So, it's kind of the truth can set you free kind of deal. So this particular time zone, because we are sitting in a couple planets in the 29th degree for the last transit in the last sign, I like to refer it as this is the last call. Okay, so meaning the last call, this is your opportunity to come clean, to bring things to light, be honest, be straight with things, because if you don't, it is going to surface. And so then after that point, you're going to have some time to sit and think about how you're going to fix it, or you probably won't fix it, whatever the problem gets fixed up, or surfacing, or as correction, autocorrection, I guess is a good word for that. So it just depends how things are going, how it impacts you, and what you got going on in life, and what side of the fence you're sitting on. But the truths will eventually surface, because it always does, okay? And something I want to talk about is we have 3 planets doing their last transit in their final signs, and that's going to be for a lot of years. So is this a big deal? Yeah, it is, okay? So like I said, like they call it the last call. And so, for example, we have Saturn in Pisces, and it's going to be done there. As soon as it's finishing its retrograde in Pisces, it will be moving into Aries for its next term of the 2.5 to 3 years, right? And we will not see Saturn in Pisces for another 28 to 30 years, okay? And Uranus is retrograde in Taurus. It re-retrograded back into Taurus. And we will not see this shift again for another 84 years, okay? So that's, a lot of us will not live long enough to see that, okay? So the other planet, that the third and final planet doing its last call, its last transit, its last retrograde, is Neptune in Pisces. Okay, so Neptune's circuit orbit time is 165 years. So none of us will live long enough to see Neptune in Pisces again. So that's why it makes it such an impactful time zone. So when you have these three planets retrograding in their final pass in these signs for that number of years, they're sitting at that 29th degree, which is known as the anaretic degree, which is crisis, it's chaos. It normally is very, very turbulent. It plays out in the negative aspect first before it planes out and straightens out. So that's what makes it so unsettled. It makes it unpredictable. It makes it bumpy, right? Chaotic. But it brings to surface, it brings to light what needs to be corrected. So just keep that in mind, okay? And I will mention we are still in our health axis. So we have the north and south node, and those are lunar points. And so we have our north node in Pisces and our south node in Virgo, and that's known as the health axis. That will be here till about July 2026, okay? So anyway, looking as we go on this whole week, it's a very, very busy week. It's turbulent. You have lots going on each and every day. Plans are going to change, not as much as they have the last 3 weeks, but just be light on your feet and be very flexible, be adaptable, and be willing to adjust plans, and you should be okay. Again, those two Uranus oppositions. When you have Uranus, that one means business, and it's unpredictable. Right? Uranus is just like all over the place. It's chaotic, right? So when you have oppositions, normally those are challenged areas, right? So the oppositions being pulled into different directions. On the zodiac wheel, you will see an opposition. They're directly across the wheel from each other. So that gives you indication, pulling straight across, like a tug of war. It's usually challenge, it's usually problems. And again, on a lighter note, it doesn't always have to be like that chaotic and unpredictable and that problematic for everybody, but it can be. So it can be just having way too much on your plate to do, being pulled in two different directions. For example, if you have a family and children versus your job career. Okay, just an example. That won't pertain to everybody, but it gives you the idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, that being said, so again, the biggest thing right now is going to be high communication. And so a lot of the topic is going to be about, it can actually entail estates. It can entail inheritances, okay? Other people's money, other people's resources. It can be family money, spousal support. It can be joint bank accounts. It can be collaboration, or it can be debt, loans, big debt, or paying off debt. It can be capital. It can be something to do with taxes and legacy money as well. It can do with credit, your credit report or your credit score, those kind of things. It's about sex, intimacy, power and control issues. And it's also can include marriage, psychology, parapsychology, and this can also include the mysteries, okay? The mystical areas, esoteric, occult areas. And this is also the Lotto house. When we're talking about Scorpio, which is the 8th house, and the 8th house is what I'm talking about. Mysticism, again, it's a big money house. Again, estates, this can also include insurance, okay? And the other thing is this can also be the self-empowerment house. So all these areas are really, really lit up, and because there's so much scorpionic energy, and it's also the death and transformation house. So it can be the death of a physical person, and I do need to include that, as much as I don't like to say that. Death is physical death of a person, a loved one. That is reality, and that's just the way it is. But it's very, very active. So this can be talking about, loss of a loved one this week. That's possible. That certainly won't be for everybody, but it will be for some of us. Or it can be the discussion of the death of a loved one who's already passed on. So making funeral arrangements, going through estates, wills, those kind of things, funeral arrangements, those kind of things. And it can also be about figurative death because we have so much Scorpion energy. It can be, changing jobs, losing a job, leaving one job behind, moving on to something else. So figurative, I'm just talking, just for example, it can be any sort of end of a cycle, death of a cycle. It's the death, it's the rebirth house, it's the regeneration house, it's the transformation house, the transition house. So endings, new beginnings. And again, you can be talking about funeral arrangements, wills, estates. And the other thing I want to talk about this too is the 8th house is also about surgeries or hidden medical procedures. So hidden surgeries that you might be having or have had that people don't know about, right? It's personal, it's private, it's no one else's business, but about those kind of surgeries. And the 8th house is also a health house. So it's about mental health, it's about emotional health. The 8th house is a water house, it's a dark house, you can't see into it. That's what makes it secret, that's what makes it hidden, okay? So some of you might be out there discussing, matters from previous surgeries or up and coming surgeries, or you might be actually having a surgery this week. And again, if that's the case with a surgery this particular week, I would just really give a heads up that maybe just double check the details, because if that's the case, you do have a surgery coming up this weekend from the 17th to the 23rd. We are sitting in Mercury retrograde, so I would just say double check all your details with your surgery plans, with your doctor or medical provider. Make sure everything's in check and everything's right, because if something's going to go sideways or misunderstood, it tends to be during Mercury retrograde, which we are full-blown Mercury retrograde as we speak, okay? So just keep that in mind, and I will talk a little bit more about Mercury retrograde just a little bit later. And something else, if you're having tests done, I would recommend always getting a second opinion if the results just don't seem quite right. Either way, okay? Because again, Mercury retrograde is misunderstandings, medical equipment, or any sort of equipment being faulty, and messed up test results or mixed up test results. That's very common as well. So just a heads up to anybody who's listening out there, just to do your due diligence during Mercury retrograde, anything to do with health, surgeries, or health-related areas, okay? Okay, so the next thing we are going to, the next area that's going to be discussed is, it can also involve innovation, right? Inventions, and this will include friends, your friends' circles, like-minded people, like-minded groups, and this can include social media, internet, anything, okay? When we see this, this particular thing, because Uranus has got an opposition. So these can really raise a little bit of hell. This is kind of a challenged area. So problems with internet connections. It can be troubles with dropped calls, those kind of things. It can be security breaches. It can be websites being hacked, those kind of things. And again, this can include large organizations, committees, groups, internet-based projects, humanitarian efforts. And again, like-minded groups or associations. And again, this is going to involve politics. I'm not going to be surprised if we don't see a whole bunch of political news or political information or political truths begin to surface this week, because it's probably going to be a bit of a rough ride in that area. So we will see that on a global scale. Oh yes, and something else, this can also include digital currencies and banking and those kind of things. So it can be like hiccups or problems with banking and currencies. Interest rates can also be affected. Money market stocks, so very unpredictable stock markets, or hiccups and those kind of things can result in some sort of crash, or those where certain stocks or a stock market can really take a plummet. But again, that's an opposition for the Uranus area. Okay, so technology house, it's an innovation house. This is also air travel house. Okay, so when you have the 11th house lit up, which is quite bit, and again with an opposition, so that can be problems with travel. That can be problems with planes, and unfortunately it can include plane crashes, those kind of things. But hiccups with anything to do with air travel, plane travel, problems with technology within a plane or communications within a plane, those kind of things. So if you're going somewhere, just you can probably expect hiccups or delays because again, this is also mixing with Mercury retrograde. So also includes hopes and wishes, dreams. It's the 40 wish house. It's the pennies from heaven house, right? So that's something else that's kind of cool too. Okay, so I'm going to speak a little bit. I want to mention that we are in Mercury retrograde, right? Okay. So again, that's do not start new things. Stay with the old things, old projects, current things. It's not a time to incorporate because anything that started new tends to be very short-lived. So if, like for example, if you were to incorporate, unfortunately during a Mercury retrograde, it tends to be short-lived. Like it wouldn't survive long as a new corporation, okay? And something else you want to not book too many appointments because your appointments will not stick. You can expect people from your past to come out of the woodwork. Mercury retrograde is like a magnet for that kind of stuff going on. That's usually when they surface, so we can expect that. And something else, Mercury retrograde, again, is not good for medical procedures, booking appointments. So just if you have appointments booked, just do expect that they will be rescheduled and you're going to have to change them because that often happens. So again, Mercury retrograde is hiccup, it's misunderstanding, it's about appliances flying apart, your fridge, your dryer, your washer, those kind of things just kind of break down. It's not a time for new vehicles because it's lemon season. Do not buy new technology devices like iPods, iPads, computers, new cell phones, those kind of things if you can help it. Do not buy them during Mercury retrograde because they will be a problem somewhere along the line. Usually, again, just lemon season for anything technological, communication. So again, drop calls, those kind of things, missing emails. So do check your junk file, or sometimes they're floating around in cyberspace for a while before they ever show up. So that's very, very common as well. So people say to me, what the hell is Mercury retrograde actually good for? So it's actually good for rest and recuperation. So we have it about 3 weeks out of 3 weeks, 3 different time zones in one calendar year, usually. Sometimes it's a fourth. But anyway, it's good for rest. It's good for rejuvenation. It's great for working on old things. It gives you a second whack at the cat to polish things up and perfect things, right? So whether it's like details or, in contracts, something else you do not want to do is sign contracts and agreements during Mercury retrograde because there'll be something wrong with it. And something you can allow just room for last minute magic. So if you want to test it out, I have, right? So if you want to book a couple appointments guaranteed, they will be changed. So you can always test a little bit as long as it's not causing too much harm or causing too much money, right? And something else you don't want to be doing is, like I said, starting anything new because chances are you're going to have to redo it and redo it and redo it. Not only is it frustrating, it can be very expensive, okay? So something to do with that. So, and then I haven't mentioned this, but I will mention about the planetary retrograde. So we are Mercury retrograde full-blown until the 29th of November. So the 9th to the 29th of November is full-blown Mercury retrograde. Then we will enter the post-shadow season, okay? And then we have Jupiter retrograde. We have Saturn retrograde. We have Uranus retrograde. We have Neptune retrograde. And so those are all our planetary retrogrades right now. And again, 3 of those planets are transiting in their last and final transit in their signs for like many, many, many years. So that's why it makes it kind of a bit of a spectacular time right now, okay? Something else I do want to mention is we have heavy, heavy, heavy water energy this week. So what does that mean? So it means because there's so much Scorpio energy, it makes it very, very emotionally intense. Or it's just emotional or it's just intense, right? But it's very, very intuitive. It's very motivated. It's very resourceful. So on a negative note, we have to be very careful with Scorpion because it's very desire-ridden energy, right? And so the thing is to know your desires, but it means to have enough self-control not to act on desires, okay? But it's very resourceful. It's very, very, very motivated. And Scorpio is one of those signs that it knows people's motivations before they even do it, right? Scorpio sees the unseen and Scorpio knows the unknown. That's just how that sign is. It's the most intuitive sign of the zodiac, but it's also the toughest zodiac sign to conquer and manage, right? It's very, very, very intense all the way around. Intense good or intense bad. So, and also like a couple of the negative things you got to be very careful about this time right now is about jealousy, being possessive, obsessive. It can be violent. It can be acts of violence, those kind of things as well. So just keep that in mind. And that can be violence on a global stage, or it can be domestic violence in behind closed doors. So again, it's a very, very sexual sign. And again, it also is very determined, and it's very investigative, right? It likes to probe, it likes to dig around. And Scorpio is also the sign of death and transformation, right? Ending cycles, starting new cycles. And it's a very, very compassionate sign, right? On the higher vibe energy, right? Anyway, it is the hardest zodiac sign to conquer and manage. So hats off to all the high vibe, the Scorpio folks out there. Okay, it's very, very emotional and very, very intense, okay? So just keep that in mind. So, and more water, we have Pisces. We have Cancer, because Jupiter is Cancer. So that's what makes it so emotional. So just do keep emotions in check, especially tempers and anger, because we have that Uranus opposition. So that can, be unexpected fights and arguments, or unexpected acts of violence, those kind of things. So just keep that in mind. Control yourself, control your behavior. And again, we do have that new moon in Scorpio showing up. So that's about new beginnings, new cycles. Put out your new moon intentions. However, new moons, full moons always bring out the worst in behavior. And this one can be ultra emotional. So again, just put out a warning there. Do keep emotions in check and be hyper aware of your emotions and your choices and your decisions and how you respond. Do not emotionally react, because it can be quite triggering that way. And again, it's a very, very, very wonderful mojo week. So do take advantage of all the good things going on this week, because it could be very, very easily being sucked and be into a really, really emotional, intense, negative, miserable mood, and you're going to miss all that good mojo. The good mojo boat's going to leave you behind, so we don't want that. Okay. So some more areas is going to be talking to people close to you. So that can be in your neighborhood, or talking to your neighbors, relatives. So that can be cousins, that can be aunts and uncles. This particular third house energy I'm looking at is not kids or parents, but it's communication. So again, you might be shopping around or thinking you might want to buy communication devices. So again, computers, iPhones, iPods. But if you can help it, just avoid it. It's not the best time to buy. If you must buy, and you absolutely are stuck buying a new phone because you dropped it or it's smashed and you need a device, get the replacement warranty with it. That is one thing that goes with Mercury retrograde. If you have to, you always want to buy the insurance that goes with it for replacement, okay? And the other thing is, or maybe you can get a loaner or something like that to kind of limp you through the Mercury retrograde season. So it's about transportation. It's about here, there. It's about short distance, uptown, to the neighboring town, short distance trips all over the place, here, there, and all over the place. It's about writing and editing. It's about transportation. So again, you might be wanting to buy a car, a truck, a quad, a side-by-side, or those kind of things, or have that urge, but just hold off. Again, that third house is wanting you to be looking at and having interest in buying any sort of mode of transportation. This can include talking with siblings. And again, internet, social media platforms, that can be YouTube, that can be TikTok, that can be anything under the sun to do with social media platforms. And again, the third house is an air house. So you guys might be talking about air travel, traveling somewhere, any sort of distant trip. That might be on the tabletop or the menu for conversation, or you might actually be going somewhere this week and going on vacation. Again, we have a couple air houses lit up, and so this is definitely one of them. Okay, and something else I'm going to put out there as a warning is, do keep the talk factual, avoid gossip. Gossip's going to get people into trouble, and especially when it comes with Mercury retrograde, because that just adds misunderstanding on top of gossip problems. So do use caution there, okay? We are also going to be looking at health, healing, and wellness. Okay, so daily routines, daily regimens, making systems or figuring systems at work that for you, whether it's at work or for the health and body, healing and wellness, and organizing. You're going to want to start organizing and decluttering, those kind of things. And at work is going to be very important, doing things that are important to you. Details with anything, details in paperwork, details in contracts or agreements. Do not sign agreements right now. We're sitting Mercury retrograde. There will be something wrong with it, or you maybe have missed a fine print. So just a heads up about that. You might be looking at employees. and employers, okay? And about doing something that's important to you, and you might be mentoring somebody or somebody might be mentoring you, okay? Again, diet, exercise, and it's going to be a health focus. So the sixth house is also a health house. The eighth house is a health house. So we actually have two health houses lit up this week. So this is going to be very, very, very important and probably a tight focus for a lot of people. And the negative part of the sixth house is going to be having a little bit of bad luck. So that can be definitely joined in with that Uranus opposition, either one. So we have a Sun opposition Uranus and we have Mercury opposition Uranus. And so I want to just point out while I'm thinking about it, the Mercury opposition Uranus. So Uranus and Mercury are linked at the hip. So Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, which further enhances it, like it supercharges. So that's a big one, right? And so that's that Mercury derived. So that can be really, really, really out of the blue news or information that you just can't believe that happened, or you never thought in a million years you'd ever hear that, or that kind of information or news coming out, right? Again, that makes me thinking is very politically on a global space scale, where you're going to hear something or find something out that you just can't quite believe that so-and-so did something or something happened, or there was missing money that surfaced and somebody got caught, something like that. Just out of the blue, out of left field, something shows up. Okay, and also with the sixth house, this is also the karma house. You might be cleaning up karmic cycles, right? That can be karmic cycles this lifetime. It can be karmic cycles from previous lifetimes, past lifetimes, right? It can include slavery, feeling enslaved, or having some sort of enslavement within your life right now. So you can be facing that or looking at that as well. So that's definitely here as well. And you know, sometimes this can be sprinkled with a little bit of bad luck as well too, right? Okay, and so we can also be looking at children, romance, sex, falling in love, doing things that are fun, pleasure, bring you joy. It's about creative expression, any kind, right? That could be sewing to writing poetry to writing songs to writing books, or whatever you would think creative expression would be. So it's the house of children, right? This is the fifth house. Creativity, projects, hobbies, right? Or hobbies becoming your jobs. And again, fun. And this can also include gambling, right? And again, that can be very linked to that eighth house of lotto. So just keep that spending in check, those kind of things, right? We do have a very, very good week for good luck and auspicious opportunities coming out, but don't let it get out of hand, right? And so this can be about hidden talents too, right? So something that you have a hidden talent that might begin to surface, or you might begin to share or bring out into the public. It's also about taking a leadership role, and it can be about being seen on a more public or a more global scale, okay? And you might be wanting to take a look at what brings you joy, what brings you fun, what brings you pleasure, okay? And this is a good luck house, right? It's also the bucket list house. And so we do have an active Jupiter. So Jupiter in Cancer, we're talking about the fourth house. So again, this is a water house. It's about the hidden, things you can't see. It's a house of emotions and the inner world. This can include house and homes that can moving. It can be about buying a house or selling a house, or another occupant or somebody else moving into, or another family member into a house. Doing repairs. And now it's essentially about your family. So this can also include ancestry, genealogy. And again, that could be forensic genealogy too, right? Or the genetic testing, or something to do with genes or genetics to do with health purposes, right? And our roots, like our family trees, those kind of things. And big time, the fourth house is about mom or mother. So something to do with going on with mom, or maybe mom's important. And it's also a psychology house. It can also include old age. So old age as within our family. Maybe our parents are aging or our grandparents are aging, but it tends to be grandma, mother, but family oriented. And again, genealogy, genetics, genes of any kind that would link to any sort of, can be health areas or health issues, or health and healing and wellness, right? Again, it's about the hidden, unseen realms, okay? The subconscious, the emotions, those kind of things. This is also stuff that goes on behind closed doors, right? You can't see it. The fourth house is below the horizon. You can't see it. And often this is things going on within a family house behind closed doors that nobody can see. Anything within a house, anything within a home. Okay, and also we can be looking at, again, a little bit more good luck, good fortune, and we can be looking at solutions for problems. So that can be anything to do with work and employees or employers, or it can do with health solutions, or, organization for daily routines to help with our health and healing and wellness. This is about international connections, foreign cultures. This can be about teaching. You might be a teacher, or you might be learning, you might be taking courses, but expanding horizons in life. Again, long distance travel. So again, this is links up with those two air houses. So you might be going on an adventure. You might be going on long distance travel. You might be talking about, you actually might be booking a travel, a long distance travel somewhere out of your country. Okay. This can include writing, publishing. This can include speaking. So you might be going to listen to a speaker, or you might be doing the one speaking. Includes foreign languages, church, spirituality, religion. And this can include your in-laws, ethics, philosophy. And again, this can be international travel, international connections, or communication with people overseas. So that could be on a personal, or it can be on a business level, or that can include taking courses or learning from overseas, knowing somebody, or maybe taking an online course overseas, those kind of things. This can also include human resources. It's also about truths, and it can also include law and legal matters. Okay, so some of you might have legal matters going on, or appointments, law appointments, or it can even be court matters. And again, we talk about this. That can include, again, the politics, the global politics, right? We could end up seeing some unforeseen, unexpected, chaotic news that leads to lawsuits or legal matters, or someone being in trouble. Okay, and again, this can include business, work, jobs, career. This can include dad or father figures, authority figures. So authority figures can be law enforcement, lawyers. It can include even judges, those kind of things. Anybody who you would consider an authority figure. Like, again, it can be boss, or you might be the boss, or you might be getting a new boss. And this can also include discipline, responsibility, and your strategy, and also time. Physical time is going to be of the essence this week as well. And structures, building good solid structures. Okay, doing it and doing it well. We do have a lot of Pisces energy. Like I said, that's part of the water realm, where we have a lot of water energy. So when we talk about that 12th house, again, now we have all three water houses lit up. So that means 4, 8, and 12. 12 is also a water house. It's the house of the hidden. It's also karma water house, or the karma house, sorry. 6 and 12 are karma houses. So you might be working on resolving and finishing up karmic cycles, fixing karmic cycles, and so you can put an end to them. And again, houses 6 and 12 are about karma, fixing karma, dealing with karma, ending karmic cycles. So that can be right now in this lifetime. It can include past lives. So the 12th house is about past lives as well. And again, the water houses you can't see. It's hidden. It's secret. It's unseen realm. You don't know what's going on. The 12th house is behind the scenes. So this thing's going on behind the scenes that's hidden or secret. You can't see. So this can be work related. So that could be like someone doing all the work behind the scenes and someone else taking the credit for it, or just working really hard behind the scenes and just because nobody sees it. It can be rest and retreat time. A dream time. So this is always nice too. So this is about astral dreaming, lucid dreaming. It's about the subconscious mind, right? It's psychology, our inner work. This too, and because we have so much 8th house and 12th house, it wouldn't surprise me if there is a lot of interest in esoteric areas, occult areas, spirituality, mysticism. So that interest in, the alternative areas of spirituality, those kind of things. That's very, very, very lit up this week. So, and this also includes Akashic records, again, past lives. The other thing that becomes of high importance, because we have a lot of Pisces energy, is the 12th house is about addictions, fears and addictions, okay? So that's something else that can be a health concern as well. Art, creativity. And again, this is a house of private. And this can also include escapism. And again, escapism can be just avoiding, evading, ignoring. But this can also be included with addiction. So you are into alcohol and drugs or those kind of things to escape the present life. That's quite common. any addiction. So that can be drugs, alcohol, it can be sex addiction, it can be pornography addiction. It can also be the workaholic, the work addiction. So I think that's more common than what people realize. And the workaholic or the work addiction is one of the most kind of justified. I'm not going to say acceptable because it's not justified, because you get money for being the workaholic. But that is definitely still a problem, okay? This is also the house of confinement. And isolation. So when I say confinement, that can be stuck in a hospital, that can be stuck in prisons, that can be orphanages, where you're just a number, right? And you're stuck someplace. Often it can be against your will, right? Or isolation. So again, isolation can be positive, where you're just kind of isolating yourself for some rest retreat time, doing some creative or mystical interest things or study. But if you have isolation and you're stuck in isolation because of somebody else's hand or by the force of somebody else, that's a problem. So the 12th house is a really, really big house, and it's got a lot of really good things about it, but it's got a lot of negative things about it as well. And again, evading, escapism, avoiding, that's not a good thing too. This can also include foreign lands and foreign shores. So we have that lit up twice over. So that can be, foreign cultures, foreign lands, foreign people, foreign connections. That's very, very highlighted right this week as well. And this can also be looking at redefining yourself. So when I say that, I mean, when you're redefining yourself, that means starting from the ground up. So for example, if you're going through a divorce or a separation, really that's basically essentially what you're doing. You're starting all over. Those material things or some of those things are going to have to be dealt with, and you can end up with nothing, having to start all over. Or what you had or what you were known for is stripped away and you start all over. So again, being stripped down and starting all over. So some of us or some of you might be looking at that. That's a possibility. Okay, so that is a lot going on, and I know that's a lot of information in a lot of areas. It's not going to be, everything I listed is not going to be for everybody, but guaranteed a lot of it will be, because we have such a busy week and we have so much going on with so many different signs, planets, so many aspects per day. Guaranteed there's going to be a lot of those things I listed is going to be going on for you as an individual. And plans consistently changing, right? So the plans, like I said, usually every other day is going to be a shift change or a change in plans for sure. But again, we're going to be basically governed by Uranus this whole week. So whether we all like it or not, you can expect the unexpected. And so that can be unexpected good, or it can be unexpected not so good. So again, it's a very, very mixed bag of very good or a very, very chaotic. So just keep that in mind, be flexible, be open, and take things as good as you can, roll with the punches as good as you can. It is what it is, right? Okay, so now I'm going to, let me see here, circle the dates are going to be the 17th, the 18th, the 19th, the 20th, 21st, 22nd, and the 23rd is pretty good, but it's not nearly as busy. We do have a nice 23rd. It's a sun sextile Pluto, which is a really, really good day. The only reason I didn't circle it because it's only one aspect instead of 5. But realistically, we could have every day circled, and it's a pretty darn good week for the most part. And the toughest days we're going to be looking at is going to be November 19th and November 21st. So that's what the Uranus opposition. So those can be tough again, but it's not always said. They can be just being pulled in two different directions, having just too much going on to complete utter chaos or unexpected events taking place. So again, it's a very, very mixed bag of very, very good, or it can be completely chaotic. So I'll just put that out there, right? Okay, so we are going to move on to, let me see. Again, we have many, many good aspects, more good aspects and negative aspects. We haven't seen that in months. Okay, so that's good. And again, our overshadowing energies, I touched a little bit on the retrograde planets. The only other thing I did not mention, and we're basically coming to a close, it's really almost not worth mentioning, but we are having in the final days where our post-shadow eclipse season is really coming to a close. So that's going to be about the 21st of November, but each day it phases out. So we're at the very, very tail end, but that's still possible. And remember, eclipse season eclipses people, places, things, stuff in or out of life, normally on a permanent scale. So that can be small to medium to large change. And when you have eclipses come in, the changes tend to be permanent in nature. And it's those things that none of us have anything to say about it. And that's kind of what keeps us on our new trajectory or changes things in our life. So the only thing we have the only things we do have control over is how we react to it or respond to it. Okay, so that's just those things in life that change, and we really don't have anything to say about it. Just take it as it comes. Okay, but again, that's basically faded out to pretty much nothing. So it officially, what I would call it, and was on the 21st, which essentially brings us to the end of Scorpio season. So it can have a little bit more of, a little bit more mojo, because in Scorpio season, it will pack a little bit more of a punch, even though it's fading away day by day, because Scorpio is our death and transformation season, and it's hitting at the same time. So it can amp it up a little bit. All right. Now, again, I'm just going to mention that we can end up having a very, very high communication day. If you're waiting for news or something to happen, that can very much take place on the 20th, because that's at Sun conjunct Mercury. So that's very, very charged communication, incoming or outgoing. So that's going to be a very, very important vital day. That's that Mercury Cazimi, okay? Heart of the Sun. So that's a very, very highlighted day. So anyway, again, it's just a very busy week, and you want to prioritize your tasks and don't take on too much, because it can be a very, very, very exhausting week, okay? So we will move on to, if I can find the paper here. Okay, so we are going to, there it is, move into the health and anatomy. Okay, so the health and anatomy, we are going to be looking at Scorpio is going to be our main player here, and so I'm going to touch in the planet of Pluto too, because it's so very highlighted here. Okay, so Scorpio is going to be, this is our genitals, the bladder, the rectum, and the reproductive organs. Okay, so that's going to be male or female. And along with that, we are going to discuss the planet of Pluto, because it's the ruler. So when we talk about a lot of Scorpio energy, it's really going to take in any areas that I just mentioned, but it will take in the eliminative and reproductive system. So that's going to be male or female. So you're talking about the testes, the testicles. That can include hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, all those kind of things. And again, the reproductive organs, so the uterus, the ovaries, anything to do with male, female reproductive organs, the internal. And that can include the rectum, and that can include the bladder, anything elimination areas, okay? Systems. Pituitary gland, abnormal growth. So that can include warts, tumors, moles, birthmarks, skin tags, and cancer of any kind. This can also include the hypothalamus gland. So again, so when we're talking about growths, and that can be talking about cancer, past cancer, present cancer, maybe just new diagnosis or treatment of cancer, those kind of things. Or cancer is really up in the air. So talking about it, dealing with it, test results. And again, if it's test results, I would definitely get a second opinion, because we're sitting in Mercury retrograde, which means you can have faulty equipment, or something's misread, or something's misunderstood, or files are mixed up. So I would definitely get a second opinion, because there is a very high chance that something might not be right here, okay? So we will move into the next batch. So the nervous system. So keep the nervous system intact, and keep it, decompressed, and keep it, operating very, very balanced, because it can be a very big shake-up week, okay? The brain, the sight, the mouth, the tongue, the respiratory system, the hands, the arms, the thyroid gland, and of course, this always includes the mind, mental realm, thinking, any of those kind of things, and the thymus gland. Okay, we have that new moon in Scorpio, and again, this can include the breast area, male or female, stomach, fluid balance, digestion, glandular secretions, eyes, male and female, right or left. This can include the heart, the upper back, spleen, circulatory system, sperm, and basically your general vitality and your state of health. And again, this is very, very health oriented week, because all the health houses are lit up and those kind of things, okay? We can be looking at arterial blood and arterial blood circulation, the liver, the thighs, the hips, the ears, and the pancreas. And for there are quite a few there. I know a few people like this too. So they're going to be looking at the bones and the skeletal system. Bones are going to be very, very important here. Your skin, your teeth, and that can be upper and lower teeth, ligaments, knees, your ears, any auditory organs, gallbladder, parathyroid, and body protein. That's going to be very highlighted here as well. And for the most part, a lot of these things you're going to be finding sort of solutions or answers or resolutions or fixes or ways of healing your health, because it's got trine energy with most of these. The only thing I would just say concern is about the higher nervous system. That could be causing a problem this week, and be very careful not to break an ankle, sprain an ankle, because again, that's Uranus and it's got an opposition, so that means it's going to be a problem. So broken ankles, twisting an ankle, spraining an ankle, anything to do around the ankle area or the higher nervous system. So overstimulation of the nervous system can be a problem. All right, moving on. Again, we have a very active Neptune. So what does that mean? So that can mean mental health, okay? Living in denial can be a problem. Viruses, mental illness, mental health at, a health focus. Depression can be a problem as well. So mental illness, mental health, getting help for that, depression, the spinal column, nerve fibers, your feet, especially your feet, the pineal gland, telepathic functions, white blood cells. So you might be going for, blood tests, getting white blood tests done, or, tests looking at your white blood cells is what I should say, and kinesthetic functions. So this can also include viruses and the thymus gland. So viruses is running with Neptune. And we do have, I'm going to mention about the Pisces too, because we do have a lot of Pisces, and I do want to mention that because that goes hand in hand with the health axis, but it also goes hand in hand with Neptune. So this could be about blood, anything to do with the blood, good or bad. Blood tests, bacteria in the blood or infections in the blood. Again, white blood cells, red blood cells being tested for whatever. Immune system, your lymphatic system, which is essentially the same thing. And you can have fluid backup in the lymph system, like water retention or things not moving well through the lymph system. Toxicity, toxic water, viruses, and the thymus gland. And I do want to mention is, because we do have a lit up 6th house, which is the house of Virgo. And again, that's falling on that health axis. So I do want to mention what we got. Virgo is about small bacteria. It's about small fungus. It's about infections. It's about viruses. Okay, small bacteria, and it's about purifying and detoxifying. So if you had an infection, you want to detox and you want to purify, you want to get well. So it can be bacterial infections, it can be fungal infections, but when you're talking about bacteria, that can also mean probiotics. So that's good bacteria, right? So you might be looking at that. It's about gut health, it's about viruses, again, as a whole, infections, bacterial infections or fungal infections, okay? So again, that rotates right around to that health axis, and that's very, very activated because we do have some very, very busy active health houses. So that's 8 and 6. Okay, and again, the breast area, that can be male or female, breast issues. Okay, stomach and upper lobes of the liver. And again, the upper legs, hips, thighs, and I think... yes, and something else I want to bring up too, because we have Uranus retrograde back into Taurus in its final degree. So there's definitely going to be some areas that we're looking at here. So that can include the throat, around the throat area, interior, exterior, the neck, the ears, the vocal cords, the thyroid, the tongue, the mouth, the tonsils, and the lower teeth. Again, the upper and lower teeth are going to be very highlighted this week as well. Okay, so I think I have really talked enough. And I think that will end our week. And again, it's a very, very good week. We haven't had a massive amount of trines in like months and months and months. I don't even remember the last time I seen a good week like this. But it does come with its Uranus challenges. So again, that can be unexpected news, chaos. That can be harsh truths coming out on a global scale to do, especially with politics or politicians. And again, when we're talking Uranus, that can be weather. So that can be unexpected weather events, that can be lightning, that can be electrical outages, it can be problems with internet. We can be having Uranus in Taurus retrograde. That is Mother Earth. So you can expect volcanoes. That can be eruptions below the surface of the ocean. That can be earthquakes. It can be any sort of natural disaster that's weather linked or Mother Nature linked. So that's highly possible and very, very possible because we have 2 Uranus oppositions. So that can be Mother Nature being on its worst behavior. So again, hurricanes. It can unfortunately include possible plane crashes, any sort of water disaster. And again, because we have so much water, that can also include flooding, massive floods. That can include tsunamis. That can include, like I said, earthquakes, volcanoes. And again, when we're talking water, that can be, like I said, massive flooding around the world on a global scale, which we have seen, but it will just increase because we're at that 29th chaotic degree, which just amplifies things in a worse way. And again, it can be water leaks. It can be water pipe breaks in walls. It can be sewer backup, in the basement, those kind of things. Any sort of faucets that leak, water leaks, water flooding in a house, basement, in the walls, doesn't matter what it is. So if you leave on vacation, be sure to shut your water main off or your water source off, because if something's going to go sideways, it's going to be now. And again, it's hovering around that Mercury retrograde, which does give us a lot of problems with water. So whether that's in a house, in a garage, in a shop, flooding, on a personal level or the backyard or in a house or home or whatever, or it's major water problems on a global scale. Okay, so with that being said, that is going to end our November 17th to 23rd. Do make the best of this, because this has really got some really good mojo about it. Like I said, our probably best day is going to be the 17th for sure, because we have 3 trines with being pushed and boosted by a Pluto sextile, which is almost unheard of. So if you're into buying a little $1 or $2 scratcher, that probably would be the day to buy it. And again, it's a very mixed bag the rest of the week. We have so many good trines, like almost each and every day, but it is mixed up with that Uranus opposition. So stay light on your feet and be very flexible. Roll with the punches as best you can. And some of you will have a really super week. And just remember, others will not, because others are going to get some news that can be probably fairly upsetting. So be there for the people who need an ear and help who you can. And you know what? This week, make it a pay it forward. Buy someone, maybe a homeless person, a coffee or a hot chocolate or a sandwich or something, because that becomes back to you in tenfold, like good karma. Okay. So again, that will conclude our reading from the 17th to the 23rd of November. And again, do stay in the Mercury retrograde rules, the golden rules. And I will put that list on the Facebook group for you, the do's and the don'ts, okay? Again, stay with the old and current, be flexible, and hopefully, I'm kind of thinking this week, some of you will end up with some last minute magic, so jump on those opportunities. Okay, bye for now. Stay happy, stay healthy, take care of yourself, and certainly take care of each other. Bye.